What's up everyone, Z-Dub here, and thank you for stopping by and checking out my initial review of the Immortals Fenyx Rising demo on Google Stadia. Now this is a brand new IP from Ubisoft, so I was really curious about this one, and it really caught me off guard. I was not expecting to enjoy this as much as I did. This will be released on all major current and next-gen platforms, and if you're interested, you can play this demo yourself for free on Google Stadia right now, with no membership fee or cost until October 29th. You should definitely give it a try if you're at all curious, and this looks like something that may be up your alley, because it may surprise you, and you can pick it up on the platform of your choice if you enjoy it. Now, if this is your first time stopping by for one of my reviews, let me start by saying this. All of my game reviews are done from a critically honest perspective. I feel like you shouldn't have to force yourself or convince yourself to have fun with something. So if you're like me and you're looking for the best experiences out there, ones that are truly worthy of your time and money, you've come to the right place. So if you haven't subscribed already, make sure you do so you don't miss out on any future videos, and hit that button and bell and you'll be up to date with all my content. Now let's get into this. Immortals Fenyx Rising. Does Ubisoft have a brand new AAA gem on their hands here? Is this the next great Zelda clone? Well, as I said, this one really surprised me. I was not expecting for this to grab me at all, but it piqued my curiosity because it was Ubisoft, so I gave it a shot, and I can say I am most definitely playing the final release. I think they do have a new AAA IP on their hands here. I really loved it from the moment I took control of the character. She controlled well and had a lot of variety in the combat and movement. Everything felt very polished and refined, which is just what we would come to expect from Ubisoft. I found the puzzles to be fun, and traversing the area was just as engaging. I really wanted to keep playing this title, but at the same time, I wished I had the final release. Now this felt like the type of game you could throw in on a Saturday morning and just grind out the story until afternoon. It had such a nice relaxing feel to it and a great flow as you progress the story along. Now at first glance, it does look like a Breath of the Wild clone. Yes, there is a lot borrowed here, like the climbing and stamina mechanics, a bit of the flight mechanics, but it does feel like it has its own original ideas bundled in here as well. Now there's a lot to explore in this world, and it had the same feeling of exploration as Breath of the Wild that I appreciated there. Where you could see it, you could probably find a way over to it. Nothing was really off limits. I felt that freedom in the map of where I could go, which gave me the idea I could tackle this in a linear fashion, or go explore, and who knows what I would discover. The story seems very well put together and has a bit of humor sprinkled in with the dialogue. I quite enjoyed the magical storybook feel they went with this. It was somewhat along the lines of the never-ending story or something similar, where the narrator is talking about the protagonist as the protagonist is working their way through the adventure. In my opinion, that brought a lot to the engagement factor of what I played thus far. Now when you do take control of the character, the tutorial is handled very well. They move you through area to area, teaching you a new mechanic as you progress. The UI is also laid out in a very intuitive fashion that if you forget how to do something, the controls of what buttons do what are clearly displayed on the screen, and that's a nice touch to always have. The combat was very fun and satisfying, and there was quite a bit of variety in how you could handle the engagements. While not as punishing as something like Dark Souls or something like that, this is more a combination of like God of War or Assassin's Creed flavor of combat. Now I played this on the normal difficulty, but there were several difficulty options to choose from, tailored to the type of challenge that you desire. Personally, I think there is enough here to keep myself engaged for quite a bit of time if the story and character progress is consistent with what I've already seen. Now the game's supposed to weigh in at about 20 to 30 hours for the critical path, and much more if you work on character development and the many side quests available. I'd point out though, if the side quests are as engaging as the main quest line. Now I haven't seen that yet, so that could be a miss depending on the content offered there. Now there is also a season pass being offered as well, but it remains to be seen what content that will consist of too. Now one piece of critical feedback I do have is that I was not that super impressed with the graphics. I played this on Stadia, and it's hard to say if it's running at its highest settings. I kind of think it is, but I think the graphics could have been a bit more detailed or enhanced, especially in the cutscenes. Having said that, I do think the art style worked well for this, but I feel it could have been a bit more stylized for my liking. Another thing I also think that was done well in this title was the wayfinding. For a game like this, I want to be able to always know where my next point of interest is, especially with a game of this length. I may put it down for a week or so and come back, and I don't want to have to figure out what I was doing or where I was going to get right back in the flow. Now this is handled with the waypoint indicator at the top of the screen along with the compass. Progression is engaging in this title as well, as there is a decent RPG aspect to this with the loot you find and the choices you can make to how you gear your character. While nothing too overly complicated, it felt like just the right mix for this type of game. Now, as far as lasting appeal, I think there's a lot here to keep from getting bored. From character building, hidden gear, missions, exploration, puzzles, and of course big boss fights, there seems to be a solid amount of content. Now, it's hard to say at this point if it will be repetitive content, but I have a really good feeling from what I've seen thus far that this will not be the case. So in closing, is this for you? Well, if you're a fan of Breath of the Wild and adventure games along those lines and looking for a similar game with its own originality, I'd say definitely give this a shot. So for my fun or not recommendation, this is a strong recommend for adventure fans looking for a chill, relaxing adventure and those that are interested in a new colorful world to interact with and explore. I think there's a lot to enjoy with this title, and it definitely filled the fun gauge for the time I spent with it. I really didn't want to put it down, and I can't wait for the final release. Now, if you played this and you agree or disagree with me, or you got anything to say about it, let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear it. So thanks for stopping by and watching, and if you enjoyed this and you're interested in honest reviews focusing on whether a game is purely fun or not, or whether a game will wow you, subscribe so you don't miss out on any future gaming content. Well, I gotta get back to exploring this world, so I'll see you next time. This is Z-Dub out.